ever get stuck writing in 4/4 time? Well, I've got a riff in 7/4 that sounds way more complicated than it actually is, and in today's video, I'm going to break down how to play it. This riff has some cool things going on, from some galloping to just some noodling going back and forth between the 5 and the 7, and to this 6th fret here, giving it that evil kind of tone. And so with it being in 7/4, it just sounds unique, different, and pretty rock and roll. What's up, guys? My name's Cliffhanger. You're watching Riff with Cliff. And if you want the tabs for this lesson, you can get them on my Patreon. The link is down below in the description, as well as some really cool backing tracks. And I'm going to be uploading some other cool content onto my Patreon as well, guitar lessons and tabs. But there's going to be some free content as well, so why not sign up? Why not become a member of my little guitar community? Let's jump right into this lesson. So starting off for this lesson, I am tuned a half step down, but you can play in standard or you can play a whole step down, but I like the sound of a half step. It's a little bit chunky, right? So it sounds like this. Or all together. And in order to understand 7/4 time signatures, first you gotta understand a 4/4 count. So the 4/4 count will just be 1, 2, 3, 4. All the 7 does is add another 3 beats to that. 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We'll break this riff down into a couple different phrases, but know that the whole thing is one count of 7, and then it's going to repeat itself. And if you think of it in terms like that, it's a lot easier to digest. It's a little bit easier to break down. It's just 4 beats plus 3 beats equates to 7. Now, the riff starts out with this kind of gallop, which is on the open E string. And that makes it kind of aggressive, a little bit more metal sounding, right? Pretty cool. From there, we're going to take the 5th fret using our index finger on the A string and go to the 7th fret on the A string to the E note. Then we're going to go up to the 5th fret on the D string right here. Back to the 7th fret on the A string. And that's the whole little first phrase before we repeat that whole thing with another gallop. Now, the second part of the phrase goes like this. It's almost like the opposite. So go from the 7th fret on the A string to the 5th fret on the A string to the 6th fret on the E string. And it also gives it that kind of evil tonality, right? That kind of darker sound. If we put both of those phrases together, it sounds like this. This hand, you really want to make sure that you focus on the gallop, and then on the 5s and the 7s, the notes in between, I actually pick them out. So I pick every single note because that gives it a little bit more attack, nice sound to it. The third part of the riff starts out with the gallop again, and it goes like this. We basically repeat the riff over itself, but halfway through we don't do the gallop. So put the whole thing together. And end with that A note there, open. The way I was able to figure out the beat was by adding a hi-hat count, just like with a software, but you could do it with a click track until you got to 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Once I was able to determine that's where it starts over and I'm able to count it like that, I know that I can set the session to 7/4. And then from there, I can program drums to match it alongside the riff, which is actually what I did, which is kind of interesting because a lot of the times I will actually do a drum beat first and then the guitar, but that just makes it kind of interesting. So you really want to get this hand loose with going. You can either end on an open E or the A. I like ending it on the A because it just sounds different. Versus that kind of diminished kind of sound from the 6th fret on the low E to the open A sounds cool. Almost kind of reminds me of Jaws a little bit, just a unique kind of sound there. So let me slow the riff down really slow for you, and it sounds like this. Up to normal speed. And of course you could push it faster than that if you really wanted to push your practice. And it does sound really cool. When you push it really fast like that, it almost sounds like a Lamb of God kind of riff or something. It's kind of cool. So when would you use this kind of riff? That's kind of hard to determine because odd time signatures tend to just kind of flow out of you when you're making something up, or at least that's what happened for me. Sometimes you will find a song and you'll be like, what time signature is that? That's a good way to indicate that the song might be in an odd time signature. And this particular one is in 7/4. And it just sounds interesting. It gives it more of an interesting groove to it. It contrasts itself to like a normal 4 on the floor jam, which makes it a lot of fun. And writing and practicing riffs in on time signature is a great way to practice. And if you can kind of start getting your brain to think outside of the box of 4/4, I've had a lot of fun writing some really interesting riffs over the years, knowing that it's not in 4/4 and then trying to figure out what it is. It's great practice overall, and I highly recommend it. And I want to know, what do you guys think? Do you guys like odd time signature riffs? Do you want to learn more of these kind of riffs? Let me know in the comments. We can continue to break them down. But again, be sure to go onto my Patreon, download the tabs for this, as well as the backing tracks. There's a backing track with drums and a backing track with just hi-hats repeated over and over and over again. And if you put a click to it in 4/4, it's not going to match up. If you put a click to it in 7/4, it will match up. So keep that in mind. I recommend doing that like with a software click. So just match it up every single 7. I like to put the accent note there so you know. I mean, if you just did a regular click with no accent, it can match up. But I like to do an accent on the 1 so we know that's when the riff starts over. It's a good way to practice. I hope you're following what I'm saying. Guys, get those tabs, get those backing tracks. Thank you guys so much for watching. And if you want to see some of these other videos, be sure and check these out here that are popping up on the screen. These other lessons might help you a lot as well.